What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for Sigma Crow on missed opportunities. Brian, let's your mutation.
Missed Opportunities is the map where we have to clear out terrazine geysers for Stetmann's bots to harvest. Then we have to protect said bots from enemies. If we lose more than one bot on brutal difficulty, we lose the game. Every command costs minerals and gas. Enemies sometimes spread a disease upon death. If your guys get infected, they keep taking damage until death. Then they spread it too.
So we have Twotuuu and Eviling at the call with us today. How are you guys?
Great.
Alright. So, Twotuuu, how do we rank the commanders this week?
So the enemies have Black Death, which means that if you can fight from a distance, that'll be good. Also, static defenses aren't affected by Black Death. Plus, you don't have to control them, so that's good against microtransactions as well.
Yes.
So yeah. So army-based commanders are gonna suffer.
Yeah, immensely. How about you, Eviling?
To add upon that, just static defense is going to be immune to Black Death, but buildings too, so hint to what's coming up.
So let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
For Abathur, he can get swarm hosts. So if you use P1, you don't have to turn off the brutalisks. If you do, then if you use P2, you'll have stronger swarm hosts. And you're not really in a rush, so you can kind of slowly use you can lure the close units with toxic nest, and then once you get like 2 swarm hosts with 100 biomass, you'll start doing a lot of work. Yeah, eventually you'll get enough swarm hosts so that you don't really care about microtransactions because you're not really limited by money, and you don't really lose life because of non-ultimate evolutions. They gain life from attacking, so yeah, you're not gonna die to Black Death either. So yeah, I put Abathur in A.
That's a caveat. You need to have basically 100 biomass for that to work. Abathur and A. How about you, Eviling?
Abathur from S to A is the fact that when you max out on biomass, they're pretty much immune to Black Death. That negates that mutation in itself. And Abathur, once he has his army of biomass units, they're you don't really have to make any more after that. So transactions, you can click to your heart's content, drain all your resources, and as long as you're not losing units left and right, you should be fine. P2 Swarm Host is definitely an option. Another option is P1. 125 biomass, and you don't need that many units. So whether it be Ravagers or Mutalisks, Roaches, and once you get them out all masked up, it'll pretty much play just like a regular game.
Okay, so both of you have Abathur and A. Let's put Abathur and A. Prestige-wise, you want second or first one? Second or first one?
Yeah, either one.
Either one. Even though prestige works, just don't use the third one. Since when you get an ultimate evolution, the ultimate evolution cannot out-heal Black Death. So that's bad. Let's move on. Alarak, where do we have him?
The nice thing about Alarak is even if Black Death starts killing, as long as there's supplicants around, he'll start eating into those deaths. But the other downside to that is the supplicants can also get Black Death too. So it's kind of a tricky proposition. I have him from B to C. You can make it
B to
work.
C.
I would actually suggest B2, so that way Alarak becomes the forefront of everything, and you try to keep everything else away from catching Black Death and just let Alarak be Mr. Plague COVID carrier.
How about you, Twotuuu?
The only good thing about this for Alarak is that the enemies aren't stronger. So if you're fighting like a tough comp and like Reaver, Disruptor or something, and they're all shooting at Alarak, he's gonna eat a lot of stuff. Plus, it costs a lot of money to move his whole army. Plus, every time you do an action with Alarak, it costs 10 minerals, 5 gas, which is quite expensive. And if you're not good with spacing, like Dead Zealots are going to infect your units, So you're gonna have to like keep moving Alarak ahead, which costs more money. And I feel like you're not going to do much against a tough comp unless you're pretty good at using Alarak. And even then, it's like if you make Ascendants, you can stack them up with a lot of stacks from Sacrifice, but then if they get infected, they're just gone. So you can't really have strong Ascendants unless you're like really, really careful. And yeah, I put Alarak in D.
D, that's actually pretty bad. So, what do you think, Eviling, about D tier?
Not a problem. Yeah, D. D
Not
is
a
perfectly
problem.
fine to me.
All right, so Alarak gets the D. Let's move on. We're not going to give prestige recommendations if it's that low. Arcturus, where do we have him?
So he has bunkers and he has ESOs. So you use ESOs to basically clear the next area. So if you're in the second area, you use ESOs on the right side to clear the third, and then when you're doing clearing the third, you put on the left to clear the fourth, etc. And as long as your units stay in the bunkers, you're pretty much fine. The terrain makes it awkward to build bunkers in some locations, but if you're playing P3, you just
Very
arm the
awkward.
troopers, and if your bunker goes down, your troopers will still kill them. So that's pretty good as well. The only thing I would say that's kind of bad is that it costs a lot of money to do all the actions needed to make stuff, and Megs kind of needs money to like snowball. So he's pretty good. I put him in A.
Okay, A. How about you, Eviling?
Yeah, I have Arcturus from A to B. Banelings with guns are great. Bunkers are fantastic because they just ignore Black Death, keep your troopers safe. Just be smart about how you deploy your troopers, where you drop them, so you don't want to be wasting too much on just like random clicking.
Okay, so both of you have Arcturus in A. Let's put Arcturus in A. I was actually, when I was trying to write them, I was in between S and A, so that sounds about right. Let's move on. Oh wait, prestige-wise, you want the third one? So you have
Yes.
cheaper troopers with guns? Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Artanis, where do we have him?
Artanis, he requires an army. He has no way of healing outside of Guardian Shell. So in my opinion, he's D to E. I wouldn't be opposed to putting
D
him
to
to F
E.
at
Oh my
this
goodness.
point. And,
I don't
um,
think... Okay,
any
yeah, go ahead.
you don't think
Sorry, no,
any
I'll let you finish.
you can do whatever prestige. He's not good for this. I mean, if anything, 0, 1, 2 would be good. They help your shoot a little bit longer, especially if he's playing another commander that's
Okay, how about you, Twotuuu?
I'm pretty sure Guardian Shell doesn't do anything with Black Death around. You just, even if you stay alive, you die like immediately after. So
Yeah,
it's pretty
kinda.
much useless. It's not like you live a little longer and then like they'll target someone else and then you like survive the fight and you live till the next round or something. I would say that I put Artanis in C because he has one thing that's pretty good, which is delayed unbound fanatic drops. You
Yeah.
just drop one on each wave. And so instead of dropping like all 5 at once, you just drop one at a time. And you have like some dragoons in the back that will fight from range or your allies there. And you're still contributing quite a lot. Clearing is going to be hard. So clearing the map is kind of hard. You can like shield overcharge, charge in or something. But for the bot defense, it's pretty much delay Archon drops. So that makes it like I put him in C just because of that.
What do you think, Eviling?
Yeah, C requires. Yeah, I'm not too sure about the C rating because it requires a lot of pre-planning. You got to make sure you have vision on all the areas, because if you don't have vision on all the areas of the bots, then
The
the bots
give you
themselves
vision.
do provide vision, but
They're no speed freaks, so
yeah,
it's not
that's
like
fair.
Actually, what I'm thinking is you
that's
can
fair.
have pylons, maybe? They're kind of cheap, they only cost minerals, and they don't get COVID.
you don't even need pylons, but like
Or observers,
You
zealots.
you just have some dragoons standing there.
I'm kind of yeah. I'm thinking I'd rather have those because at least they don't cost gas. I'm thinking gas is gonna be the constraining resource here because everything when you're making dragoons they still cost the same gas too as they do minerals, and they still yeah. If you're gonna micro dragoons, you're gonna run out of gas pretty quickly. That's what I'm thinking. Also,
Oh,
I
no,
was
you
actually
don't micro them. They just stand there.
stand there menacingly.
He's just standing there, menacingly.
Yeah.
So that the bot doesn't get hit.
All right.
Yeah,
So what do you
if
think?
they died and whatever's. I can put him in C for now, but I have other candidates that I think are more C worthy.
Seaworthy.
We'll figure
They're
it
gonna.
out later.
Okay. Okay. Apparently, Artanis Skippy is not very seaworthy, but we'll put him there for now anyway because we kind of agreed. Actually, the funny thing is, I was doing I was doing my own tiers. I think I did have Artanis in C as well. Let's move on. Dehaka, where do we have him?
So Dehaka has this secret, it's not really secret, but special perk where if you use P3, you can just play as P0, and Zweihakke is really cheap to micro. So you leave Dehaka at home and you just micro Zweihakke. He costs 1 mineral, no gas to move around. Since the enemies aren't stronger, you don't need stronger pack leaders. Pack leaders are also pretty cheap to micro, and for clearing bases, you just throw creeper hosts in the direction a few times, and then they'll all die. As long as Dehaka is level 1, even if Zweihakke gets infected and dies, you revive him with like 3 drones or 4 drones or something.
Very cool.
Because its revival cost is based on Dehaka's level, not Zweihake's level. Yeah, so Zweihakke can be level 15, Dehaka level 1, doesn't matter. And then it'll still be really cheap to revive. So I put Dehaka in S.
How about you, Eviling?
Yeah, I have Dehaka from S to A. You can use P3, use that trick to just only use Zweihakke. P2 is also another alternative. I mean, that in itself is you're just relying on the pack leaders, which in itself is known for accomplishing most of this mission and then affected. So they should be very little chance of them getting infected.
Okay.
That's day.
So okay, both of you have Dehaka in S. Let's put him in S. I did have Dehaka in A, but that little trick right there, yeah, that was pretty good. I wouldn't mind having Dehaka in S either. Let's move on. Phoenix, where do we have him?
I have him from A to B. He's you focus on your champion, so you can do either P2 or you can do P1. The very nice thing about Phoenix is whenever he switches suits, it removes Black Death. So yeah, that's with P1 you get more bang for your buck out of the suits, and just kind of play it semi like P2 where you're just sending in a champion, so you're not exposing your whole army to Black Death. And
Yeah.
as they
S to A or A to
then
B?
just
I
send
thought you said
another
A to
one.
B.
A to B,
Okay,
A to B.
right. How about you, Twotuuu?
So I would say you just use P2 because the shells are cheaper. You're just using the champions anyways. So you're just gonna charge forward and take out things. And if they're infected, they'll get they'll move to a new shell, but they'll be free from Black Death. And the enemies aren't really stronger. The hard part is the microtransactions where it costs a lot of money to move stuff around. And it costs money to move like 5 or 6 dudes around, but it's not that big of a deal. So yeah, I put him in A.
Okay. Both of you are okay with Phoenix in A. Let's put Phoenix in A. I had Phoenix in A also, for what it's worth. But I did think of using the first prestige instead, so you can have the Akon Dollar thing, or just constantly fighting the waves and then just regenerating while it's out of combat. And you can still use the champions. Anyway, that's fine. You can also use the second prestige, also fine. Let's move on. Han and Horner, where do we have them?
Han and Horner units get infected pretty easily, but good thing you don't really have to engage them. You just it's similar to Artanis in that you rely on your top bar for clearing waves and stuff, and then you just like sit. You have a few Hellbats just sitting at the bots to pick up whoever's left, and when a Hellbat dies, they'll fear whoever's nearby. So you don't really have to move like your whole army to fight, but it does require you to be like pretty good with shooting enemies. So you don't want to miss your strike fighters or waste too many mag mines. I put Han Horner in B.
B. What if it's air?
Air mag mines. They're not stronger. They're just
Okay. How about you, Eveling?
I have Horn from C to D, but yeah, I would be convinced toward B since Artanis is in C. So I would suggest any prestige except for 2. You're not really gonna get much out of 2, but you still have strike fighters with 2, but you're not gonna be really making good use of the prestige. You're gonna get more bang for your buck. If it's air, P1 is gonna definitely do you better. If P3 is actually viable, it allows you to clear a lot of the structures, a lot of the encampments safely. And just the main thing is try to keep your galleons as far from combat as possible. In fact, if you can just keep your galleons at home, build your stuff, and send your Reapers, Hellions, Hellbats out on their own, that would be better. Because if you run into a case where you just all your galleons get Black Death, that's a lot of time wasted.
Personally, I put Hot and Horner in C rather than B because it's pretty difficult to target waves with airstrikes. They're moving target. And I know when you click an actual unit, it tracks them, but it doesn't hit everything, especially when the bomb drops when the user is still moving, especially when they're fast units. But both of you are okay with B? Let's put Hot and Horner in B. Prestige wise, sorry.
I think one is better.
Yeah, I do think 1's better also. That's what I was gonna say.
I have two things to add about Han Horner. Yeah. 2 things to add. One is that against air, you can just make missile turrets. So they do have static D against air, and it's okay. And the other thing is don't get the carrier upgrade for the galleons, because if the interceptors get infected and they go back, they will infect the
everything else. I was actually thinking
I would say if
Widow Mines
or when,
because the Widow Mines are kind of cheap and they just blow up waves and stuff. So, but that's okay too. Turrets are okay too. Anyway, C is done. I do think the first prestige is better here for better mag mines. Let's move on. Karax, where do we have them?
Space lasers, good. Space lasers don't really care about Black Death, and fire upgrade for Solar Lance is fantastic. It just keeps on killing, and you have no risk to your army unless you have your army right there. Which that's on you. But
you have an army?
And you shouldn't really need to have an army, but you can. I mean, if you want.
Like
having
why?
Sentinels around.
If you like
Sentinels around,
hurting yourself.
It's nice to get vision and pushing.
All right.
I mean, Sentinels are cheap enough.
Yeah. Understandable.
Regardless, and his static defense, they don't catch Black Death. They're pretty much, they self-maintain themselves. As long as you know the areas on where to start plopping down your static defense, it should be much in the back. You can do
which areas? Everywhere is a good area.
I would say.
Other than the tracks, everywhere is a good area. You have him in A?
I have him for S to A.
S to A. Okay. How about you, Twotuuu?
So if you use P3, you can Purifier Beam a lot, and you only use the Purifier Beam to clear areas. And even if it's just one of the 2 encampments in an area, or like the third area, there are 2 encampments. If you probably clear one of them, but you can clear both of them by the time like you actually need to go there. And then if you don't clear, you also have Observer plus Solar Lance to clear encampments. That's another way. And once you get level 3 energy, you're just like invincible, pretty much.
Pretty much.
I did this without making a cannon, I tried this just shield batteries, and no, just top bar, and it worked. It worked out just fine.
How
So
do you fight? How
even
do you
against
fight the hybrids?
just
Energy?
solar lance.
Oh my
plus-
goodness.
yeah, energy.
That
just
sounds
energy. And-
painful.
And let them slap my batteries
Rocks.
Kill
if I
batteries.
don't. Yeah, I put Karax in S.
How many batteries? How many batteries
Yes.
did you put in a group? Yes.
A lot.
Okay.
Just like yes.
Okay. Got
All
it.
right. So both of you have an S. Let's put Karax in S. You want the third prestige, right?
Yes.
All right. Kerrigan, where do we have him?
So Kerrigan will get infected because that's how she kills things. Unless you're P3, but you're probably gonna get infected at some point.
That's
She's-
sick. She's sick.
The good thing is that you don't really need any units except Kerrigan, as long as you don't let her die. So that's the hard part. You need to keep going back and forth, so that like go in Omega, go home, heal up, go back out. And while she's healing, your Omegas can stall, so you don't have to worry too much about like being super fast, because the enemies will hit the Omega. And you'll probably use P0 or P2, but P0 is better because your immobilization wave will clear a lot of things, and you won't be exposed to like the outside air, whereas with P2 you do because you're attacking more. I put Kerrigan in A.
Okay, Kerrigan in A. How about Eviling?
I also have Kerrigan from A to B. You can do P2. Is somewhat feasible. I tried it last time. The health regeneration from the malignant creep is significant enough that
Yeah.
if you have a lot of small units, that it'll pretty much keep like Zerglings alive, no problem.
It can keep your mineral line
Zerglings will
alive,
die too.
right? If
Mineral line, but
your
it's not
workers get COVID, if you have Vorazun ally, it can keep your workers alive. It's pretty neat.
that's the only case where that's a problem. Otherwise, they should get into your mineral lines on with these mutations and on this map.
Yes.
So, either creep or Omega Worms. It's definitely doable. If you do Kerrigan P1, you can get away with Ultralist depending on comp. Regeneration is helpful, but it won't keep them from dying. So
Letter?
because of their high health pool. A to B.
A to B. So both of you have Kerrigan in A. Let's put Kerrigan in A. So do you want any prestige is fine?
I would say 0 is best.
0 is best because you can still hop around, and you still have the good immobilization wave, right? And you definitely want Omega Worms, in my opinion. If you agree with Eviling, that's fine too. But in my opinion, Omega Worms are the best. Let's move on. Nova, where do we have him?
Nova, P3. You pretty much go in, lay sabotage drone, drop nukes, clear areas. Just make sure don't be near when things go kaboom. There's a chance she still can catch Black Death. And from that point on, send in your army, but be very careful that they don't get infected. If they do, defensive drone actually helps stave off Black Death. But yeah, it's you gotta rely on Nova's range to keep her safe from all that. The microtransactions will be an issue, so if you need to move your whole army, think about using Griffin airlift in order to just move them at a
Is that
reasonable
cheaper?
cost. It'll be a little more cost effective depending on how many units you gotta move. I have it for A to B.
A to B. How about you, Twotuuu?
So this is especially true for Nova. You have to know which enemies can infect you. Basically, the ones that have less than 5 range, so that when you siege your liberators, they even if they fight the Liberators, they will not infect them. So like the most threatening unit will be the Mutalisk because it has 3 range, and it's when you're siege, you can't run away from it. Like you have to move back and hit it. Otherwise, if you kill it while it's attacking your while the Muta is attacking your Liberator, it might infect the Liberators as a result. So yeah, melee units, Kerrigan on the ground should not Kerrigan, Nova on the ground can take care of it. I remember I did this with just Nova and top bar.
Just Nova and top bar.
Yeah, so you just like airstrike everything. Yeah, which
I didn't think you can actually afford that.
You're not blinking. You don't have to blink that much, I suppose. But yeah, when you have like Liberators sieged at each spot, they're just pretty much safe. So yeah, I put Nova in A.
Nova in A. Okay. Did you say A, Eveling, or B?
A. He said A to B.
I said A to B.
A to B. Okay, both of you have an A. Sorry, I forgot. Both of you have Nova in A. Let's put Nova in A. That's a lot of A so far, actually. Okay, I was actually thinking just mass Ravens. I think it probably out-healed COVID, but that's just me. I'm kind of a lazy person. So
I tried something like that before. It's on the one on minor evacuation, and doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
They're gonna die.
Why? They don't out-heal Black Death?
Yeah, they don't out-heal Black Death.
Oh, that's kind of painful.
If too many of them are infected, they're just gonna.
I mean, even if you just mass Ravens
So,
and have the turrets in front.
If your Ravens are all infected, then they're going to the cooldown of the healing drone might not match like what you, because yeah, you might not be healed when you want
That's
to be healed.
That's lame. Oh well, so just your strategy is just don't get COVID. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
simple.
I would personally have Nova and B for that, but both of you decided to have her in A. Let's have her in A. Raynor, where do we have him?
Raynor has bunkers, but his bunkers aren't as good as Manx because they're big. 2, he doesn't have explodey troopers, and he doesn't have a way to clear areas like Manx does. So yeah, everything he does requires a lot of micro. So if you're massing spider mines, that would be very effective, but that costs a lot of money. If your vulture gets infected, then it's gone. You need to macro well.
Oh no, 75 minerals. What am I gonna do?
Yeah, not as simple, because if it gets infected, it's probably low HP and it'll die, and it'll affect 3 more of your other vultures, and then it'll snowball. But basically, there's nothing really good that he can do, and everything he does is they're either gonna get infected or it costs a lot of money to do a lot of things, but it's not even that effective. So I put Raynor in E.
That's pretty low. What do you think, Eveling?
I have Raynor from E to F for all the same reasons that Twotuuu put out, and I think he's just this is definitely not his mutation. It might as well just add Fatal Attraction to this. Any prestige he's going to suffer.
When was the last time a
if
mutation is
anything,
Raynor's mutation? Just wondering. When was the last time a mutation is Raynor's mutation?
Graveyard Shift.
How long ago was that? It's cycling around,
That was
right?
number 180.
It's almost gonna cycle around. Oh my goodness.
It's number 180 out of 235. So still a long time ago.
Oh my goodness. Poor Raynor. Raynor needs a buff, man. He needs something to.
Thing with Missile Command.
I guess, but
With Missile Command, he's happy.
I guess, but I still feel like Raynor needs like a flat out buff to something. Make him have some sort of option where he doesn't have to play through mutations, and he can just instead play above them or play over them. Oh my goodness, Raynor's so
Give him a
painful.
hero, give him an outlaw, something.
Something better bunkers, better Hyperion, lower cooldowns, something. Give Hyperion the same properties that Dehaka's pack eaters do. At least make the Hyperion a pack eater. I think that would at least alleviate some of the pressure. Make it have like a 5-second cooldown on the warp jump, tactical jump, and like a 6-second cooldown on the Yamato, something like that. Just oh my goodness, Raynor, poor Raynor. Anyway, you guys both have him in E.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, I had Raynor in D by the way, though, so not that much better. Stat Boy S. Let's move on. Just kidding. Where do we have him?
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much true. I have him for A. You can do P2, you can do P3. P3 is nice because once they, if you're doing ultras, even if they have Black Death when they make the kill, then they're getting a nice health regen. That on coupled on top of Green Zone, pretty much it almost will negate Black Death as long as they keep on killing. And if stuff goes down, you got recycling programs. It's good to go green.
You know, I have an issue with that. I don't have Statboy from S to A. I have him at S to double S, personally. But let's. How about you, Twotuuu?
So you do need to know how to keep him alive. There are several ways to do that. One is to keep him in an overcharged green zone. Second one is to have a lot of drones under him to repair him. 3 is to stick a tentacle from an infestor. You can burrow the infestor so it doesn't stay above ground. You can have it just kind of follow, and that also works. I don't think you really need anything except Gary and static defense.
Yeah, I kind of
Like,
agree.
if you want to make Lings, sure, but you don't really need to, because Super Gary will clear bases, he will clear waves, he'll do everything. So I put him in S.
Okay, both of you have him in S. Let's put him in S. Prestige-wise, who want the second one? Let's move on. Stukov, where do we have him?
Double S. You just
Double
I don't
S.
see a mutation here. It's like a minor inconvenience.
I was like, wait, I thought I killed your mutation. What are we doing here? Poor Stukov's allies, they would just get pushed around, literally pushed around by Stukov's guys. How about you, Eviling?
Oh yeah, all you P3 main enjoyers are going to love this mutation. Yeah, it goes without saying. It's the microtransactions is negated by Psi Emitter. Black Death is like, who cares? So my expendable units got Black Death.
Oh no.
Okay, I'll keep on making more bunkers and just overwhelm.
Yeah.
Done.
So S?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Swann, where do we have him?
Swann. So I mentioned before, static, or as Twotuuu mentioned before, static defense is not susceptible to Black Death, and neither are buildings. And Swann is known for making floating factories that don't get Black Death.
Yes.
So you just make a bunch of them, send them around the map, have your P1 laser drill do work, and it's sitting pretty. I have him from S to A.
S to A. How about you, Twotuuu?
He's the same as Karax, except that he needs like multiple SCVs to build something, whereas Karax just needs one probe.
Yeah,
and
true.
Karax has Repair Beam. Repair Beam keeps your workers alive even if they get infected in the mineral line.
True.
Whereas if somehow like a Phoenix or something flies over your mineral line, which sometimes happens, yeah.
Yes.
The mass factory thing is really good. I wonder, you can mass factory at home and just send them out all over the map. And if you build static defense in addition to 100 factories, that'll be even better. But I put him in A, but I'm not sure. Should I put it? Is he actually S worthy? It might actually be.
I did. By the way, personally have him in S. In case you were wondering.
Yeah, I think that it's fine, because if you don't, I mean, if you want, you can make regular turrets, but 2,000 HP factories are cooler. You do, if you're fighting like Zerglings, though, you do want some things on the ground because the Zerglings might run by.
So Flying Betty.
And bots, yeah, you just have some static defenses at the bots to make sure that they don't get hit.
All right. So S.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and then use your war bots to clear.
Pretty much. So what do we recommend here? First Prestige, so you can have the splashy
First.
laser.
And if they have immortals, then it slows them down. So.
Oh yeah. The immortals are the only issue I can see here for Swann. But yeah, the slowy laser does do that.
Do like to clump up together, so the splash of the P1 laser is gonna help out a lot.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Tychus, where do we have him?
Tychus, this is one where you probably don't want to use P2, because even if you don't die from Black Death as P2, you're just really brittle. You're just gonna die in one hit if you get touched by accident.
Yes.
So you're probably gonna use like P0 or P1, and you're gonna have to keep healing. So if you use
Rattlesnake?
Nikara plus Rattlesnake, you will out heal the Black Death. If you use P1, you'll out heal the Black Death because you'll have the
extra
healing
charges.
stick. Yeah, extra charges. It costs more money it costs a lot of money to move around, but the good thing is you don't really need that much gear since the enemies aren't stronger.
He's plenty strong. Tychus plenty strong.
Yeah. So I put Tychus in A. He's still fine.
Tychus in A. How about you, Eviling?
Yep, I have Tychus from A to B. Definitely suggest P1 so you can get more of the heals going. And having the outlaws available, their cooldowns are increased, so it's harder to get all 5 outlaws out, which works out better for you in that aspect on that prestige. Ultimately, you only really need like 3 outlaws to get this mission done, as long as you're careful and not losing them left and right. So yeah,
I will lose them left and right. All right, both of you have an A. Let's put him in A. Okay, here's the other uncontroversial one. Vorazun. Where do you have him?
Vorazun, she's bad. But she has crowd control, so if you got a lot of melee units charging you, you can put down a black hole and create some distance between yourselves. What really makes her bad is her Dark Pylon Recall. So
no, not Dark Pylon Recall, Death Recall. Those are two different things.
Death Recall. That can cause problems for you and your ally, where you got stuff popping back into your mineral at your command center near your mineral lines, and if it dies there, then it's going to spread Black Death to your workers, and all you realize, all my workers are dead.
Unless you place the forward nexus or command center or hatchery, so that your dying goods will teleport there instead and not infect all your entire mineral line. That's pretty much your only workaround. But your ally has to know how to do that as well.
There's one more workaround. So the other workaround is playing P2. P2 has, because of its quirkiness, anything that catches Black Death will go down to 1 HP, but won't die. So it's just the nuance of P2.
That's funny.
Can prevent that Death Recall from ripping you apart. So it's gonna reduce all your units down to 1 HP. They won't die, but you get anything that looks at them the wrong way, and they're dead after that. And then
emotional, damn it!
And then the Black Death spreading starts all over again. So
yeah, pretty much.
I have it for DT. She's not horrible as Raynor for this, but she's still pretty bad, I think.
Okay, that's your opinion. How about you, Twotuuu?
Raynor at least can hide in a bunker.
Yeah.
So Vorazun, there's nothing good about Vorazun on this mission.
Nothing.
Because so with microtransactions, your army is going to be smaller because it costs so much to move, and you need a big enough army to do anything. And then if you're not using her best prestige, then you're gonna be like losing a lot of units. If you're using P2, your units won't die, but then if the enemy is not Terran, they're gonna have detectors with every wave, and you can't black hole every wave. So you either have to sit back and wait till someone kills the detector, then you go in, or you lose some units to their anti-air so that you can take out the detector, and there's like several waves at a time, and you gotta spend money to move in and all that stuff. Her static defense, she has cannons, but those aren't good. Her dark pylon's not gonna defend all those cannons for long enough. And also makes your ally have to play differently.
Yeah.
If they don't know,
If they don't
like even
know.
if you know, if they don't know, you screw them over by existing.
Yes.
So I put Vorazun in F, because in other Black Death ones, you can carry if you know what you're doing. This one's with microtransactions, it's really hard to do that.
What do you think, Eviling?
So I put her in F.
I'm not opposed to F, but
All right.
I still think she's a little better than Raynor in that aspect. Well, okay,
No,
there's
Raynor
the
has
part of
bunkers.
her brain over. Yeah,
Raynor has
bunkers
spider
that
mines.
just kind of sit there, but
Rainor's okay.
which
Anyway,
requires a lot of microtransactions. Whatever's.
really? All I do is rally the troops directly to the bunkers, and when I unload, I just unload it directly at the bunker, so it only costs a mineral. Anyway, both of you agree that Vorazun's F? That's where she goes. Zagara, where do we have him?
So Zagara, she has a big army, so it costs a lot of money to move. But her units are sacrificial, so this is good for P1. You just throw. You don't throw all. Don't F2. You just like drag click a group, run them at the enemy, and then if your dudes get Black Death, who cares? They're meant to die anyways, and you just repeat until the mission is over. So I put Zagara in S.
Yeah, I was wondering if she would be an S. How about you, Eviling?
I have her from A to B. You can put the only reason why I don't have her at S is because you run small groups of Lings and Banes into there, but after a while, then that starts to add up. So it's not. I wouldn't say it's as S worthy as like Karax or a Stetmann, or let's take the major S, Stukov. It's not as easy as that. It takes a little bit of work, but she's still really strong. I mean, if anything, if she would be the like bottom of S.
So are you okay with S?
Me?
Because it needs to be unanimous.
Oh.
If you don't agree, it'll be A, no matter what Twotuuu says. Or
Okay, I don't agree because let's look at the other one that's pretty easy. Abathur, he's A.
okay, what do you say to that, Twotuuu?
He didn't make
I don't think Abathur easy. Abathur is not as easy as Zagara for this one, because Abathur has to move a lot before he gets strong enough, whereas Zagara starts off with enough banelings to clear whatever the first wave is, then whatever the first bot is.
And the second bot, I can attest to that. And the second bot and the third bot.
So you will, if you do a lot of needless moving, like if you F2 move a lot, then you're wasting a lot of money. But if you're just like rallying everything to a spot and just drag clicking,
yeah,
and I guess you can spread creep tumors to make your like journey short, like faster.
Yes.
But then, other than that, it's just pretty much you're dragging from a location. You can change the rally later, but that's just like once, and then you just drag from most likely the center, and then put units in a place or drag them in a direction, and then the area will be cleared.
All right, Twotuuu really likes to drag, doesn't he? I usually use the term box select, but that also works. Nice. Okay, so what do you think, Eviling?
I'm still not convinced because if you let's take it down to your average players. So Abathur, most random players that are playing Abathur P2, they're not gonna be able to really screw this up. P1 Zagara players, random allies, they're not gonna box select. They're gonna F2 like no other.
This is for the viewers, not the ally, right?
Yes.
So if your ally randoms Zagara and they don't know what they're doing, it doesn't matter what we say because they don't know how to play. Oh,
I think someone like Cage would know to box select. In fact, he did mention that before in the YouTube comment.
Yeah.
So do we say that our average viewer is worse than Cage or better than Cage or right around his level?
I think if you F2, then like once you suffer once, you realize, oh, I shouldn't do that anymore.
Kind of.
Hopefully you learn from it. You realize, oh, I shouldn't do that anymore.
Yeah. I guess my problem with F2ing, if I'm in a situation where I must not use all army hotkey, my issue is like I can keep it up for the first 5 minutes and then I randomly mispress all army and then all my units are out of position. That's not so much of a problem for this one because if you get COVID once, you can just split off the units that are sick. You can see them. You guys, if you don't have damaged health bars on, you should use damaged health bars because it'll let you pick out the ones with COVID and then send them out before they're even low. Anyway, I guess it's a matter of opinion here. But if it's not unanimous, it's not S. So Twotuuu, are you gonna make a last case for S, or are you just gonna accept A?
I'll just accept A.
All right.
It's not bad.
But I guess if you know what you're doing, then you can treat it as whatever you want.
Yeah, I guess. Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, even
Whatever, regardless of what
S-star?
rank it gets here, if you know what you're doing, then
Yeah.
S it is for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's how all these tier lists should be treated. If you personally think you can outperform the hypothetical player that we're talking about here, then it shouldn't really matter to you. If we put your favorite commander in a tier lower than where you know you can control that commander. Right, guys, in the comments? Right. I'm glad we all agree.
And to answer your question, Cage is definitely better than your average player because your average player is not watching these tier lists and doesn't know how to read.
Oh, wait. Okay. Now we're getting to a little bit of a different discussion, a bit of a tangent, but are we rating these commanders based on the average player or the average viewer of this tier list? Because if we mean to help my viewers, then why are we using average player, not the average viewer?
The bar's different, right? Slightly different.
Yeah, the thing is,
Yeah,
it's
that's
hard
a
to
very good
quantify
question.
if my average viewer is better or worse than the quote-unquote average player. Hypothetical.
I don't really
Well,
base on anyone except like I do it based on the commander, but like not requiring them to do like the high level stuff. That's it. The commander's strengths, regardless of who's piloting it.
You know, I would personally put Zagara as star, if that makes sense, because it's S-like, but you need to know the box select. So I would consider S star, but A is also fine. Like I said in the previous tier list, A is just basically less S. And if you know you can control better, or if you can control Zagara better than the hypothetical average player we're talking about here, then by all means use Zagara. That's not a problem. But I guess if it was not unanimous in this tier list, so it's not S. So let's move on. Zeratul. Where do we have him?
Cannon's good. P2S tier.
Cannons are good, aren't they? How about you, Twotuuu?
I don't think I didn't put him in S because while cannons are good, he's gonna get Black Death because he's melee, and then like you have to keep him in a void prism, or prism, so that he doesn't die. And he comes out, he kind of regens health while he's in there, but like you have to be able to find the artifact next artifact pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to
Goes
do that,
over.
and I guess you push with Legion. That's to clear a base, and you can't project like too many cannons at once because then you have none for the next part. So Cannon, I guess it's not a big deal, but it's like if you miss, then you can just project the monoliths and stall. But overall, I put him in A because he still needs a bit of work macro wise and finding artifacts and not dying to Black Death.
This is Twotuu's revenge. He puts a guard 8 tier.
That's
I want
fine.
Zeratul.
It evens out. That's perfectly fine.
Okay, that's
Not
fine. Yeah,
unanimous,
I did
fine.
have Zeratul S tier by the way, personally, but that was a concern that came up for me. My thought process is, I can just look for the artifacts very quickly. But I probably should have thought of like the average viewer. I like how we end up with a lot of S tiers, a lot of A tiers, and one commander in each of the subsequent tiers. Like, this is beautiful. This is really pretty in a way. You guys see this, right?
Yeah. Well,
It's really pretty in a way. Do we have a double S tier?
Stukov.
Stukov. Do you agree, Eveling?
Yep.
All right.
Not a problem.
Ta-da! With movie magic power thing. Stukov is now double S tier. Who's best in S?
Stetmann.
Stet boy, yeah. And then
Then
Karax.
I would say Dehaka.
Dehaka? Okay.
Because you throw things in a general direction and then they die.
And they die.
So whereas like
things
the other
and the
guys, you have
things
to
and
keep
the enemies.
macro,
Yeah.
macro or keep building.
And then Karax and Swann.
Karax over Swann.
All right. Who's best in A? Zagara.
Zagara.
And then
Zeratul. Zeratul.
yeah, these guys were S candidates. It makes sense that they're the best in A. And then
I would say
Abathur? You think Abathur?
Phoenix.
Phoenix?
I think Abathur.
Phoenix, Abathur. Who's better between these guys? I think Abathur might be slightly better. Because
Abathur
he just
is
throws free
biomass.
stuff. Like literally free stuff. And Swarbos are pretty good. They're pretty good. Especially when you've seen how Pikai plays.
All right.
And then Phoenix, and then who's next?
Minx.
Arcturus?
Thanks.
All right.
Minx or Kerrigan.
And then
See.
Kerrigan. And then
I think Tychus is better.
I
Tychus
think
is
Nova
better?
at bottom.
Tychus better than who?
Nova's at the bottom.
Yes.
Tychus is better than Kerrigan.
Nova.
Because you can heal Tychus while you're on the battlefield, while Kerrigan you have to like run away, and if you're a bit slow, you're gonna die to like a hit
Yep.
or Black Death.
Can the
Tychus
medevac
also has better-
can the medevac's passive heal like heal through COVID? Or are you just kind of
Yes.
screwed? Oh, it can heal through COVID.
It heals unless you get hit, so
Oh,
it
that's
doesn't
pretty awesome.
count towards unless you get hit by an enemy.
So you can just actually out heal death using the medevac platforms.
Yes.
Very cool.
You don't want to waste it just for that, if possible. But
yeah, I
yes,
guess you should still use the what is it called? The one from Rattlesnake, the revitalizer. You can use the
healing
revitalizer.
upgrade.
Vitalizer.
Yeah. And the
'Cause-
healer by Nikara. So that makes
Because
sense.
Black Death is 2%, and then the Rattlesnake Aura is plus 2%, and then you upgrade it to 4%, right?
Yeah. All right. So, who's top of B? Hot and Horner. Who's top of C? Artanis. Who's top of D? Alarak. Who's top of E? Raynor. Who's top of F? Vorazun. There we go. All right, guys. That is a tier list. Watch Twotuu's videos. I will link them down below. We'll see you guys next time.